Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
One Piece, Mini Hearts by cecebeec. Harem story with a twist. Luffy is the new transfer student at the previously all-girls Whole Cake Academy. There he makes friends with the sweet class president, the charming school's treasurer, the level-headed librarian, the head of the campus beautification committee, and many more female characters. Can Luffy survive a whole year with all these beautiful girls? Adios.
When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air sparkles with a new life and light, as the gates of Whole Cake Academy open for the day. It was a quiet evening for Olvia. The silver-haired woman knew her daughter would be out for a while, so she decided to make herself dinner and set aside some for her when she got home. It was surprising that Robin wanted to go out and help another student study for their exams. In fact, this was the first time she had ever heard Robin wanting to willingly go out and have some fun. This warmed her heart since Robin had a hard history trusting males, especially after the Ohara incident. "No, you promised yourself you wouldn't think of that place again," Olvia thought, clutching her necklace tightly. "You and Robin made it out safely, you two are fine. The police have no idea that you are here and they can't track you down. As far as they know, you are dead." The trauma she had when it came to the Ohara incident would surface from time to time. Robin had done a good job in suppressing it, but some nights she would hear her daughter sobbing her eyes out until she fell asleep. At least it wasn't as bad as when she was a child. Those nights of Robin's wailing voice still haunt her to this day. A knock on the door snapped her out of her thoughts. Curious, she walked to the door and looked out the peephole. She knew this was ridiculous, but being the cautious woman that she was, looking out to see who was knocking made her feel safe. What she saw made her heart stop suddenly. A rising feeling of anger and fear rose up inside her as she opened the door to the shocked face of Aokiji. "You, how did you find us?" Olvia spat, shaking in both fury and fear. Aokiji rubbed the back of his neck and gave her a lazy look. "Do you mind if I come inside? We have some catching up to do." She looked tense, something he noticed when walking in. The house was nice, simple and full of books like their old house. It seemed like she was searching for something with all the papers, whiteboards, and old scrolls strewed on the kitchen table. Olvia had went into the kitchen to grab him a drink. Aokiji went on the couch, sinking into it as he gave a hum for approval. Seemed like the two made a nice home near Whole Cake, just like Garp had said. "So what are you doing here?" Olvia asked cautiously, coming in to offer him a glass of water. Then, she proceeded to take the seat opposite the couch. Aokiji leaned up and took the glass from her hand. "I just wanted to make sure that the information that I received was correct. I was surprised to find that you were living not so far away from my workplace." Taking a sip of water, he gave her a soft look. "Robin, how is she doing? Where is she right now?" Olvia gripped her chair as she tried not to lash out at the man in front of her. "Why do you care? Why did you come back?" She stood up, tears running down her face now. "Do you know how many nights Robin and I have suffered? Do you know what trauma we are still enduring from your actions? Our home is gone. Saul is dead, and you." Now her hands were bleeding from gripping them too long. "You dare come to our home now and want to know where she is?" Aokiji sighed, taking another sip of the water. "What happened that day wasn't my fault. I had no idea that the police would come in and destroy your town. You can blame me all you want, Olvia, but deep down we both know I would never harm the young girl I considered my little sister." Slap! Aokiji clutched his now reddened cheek as the look of fury in Olvia's eyes was now more apparent. "You can keep your apology, US. You locate my house, ask where my child is, and then tell me that you were at fault for that day." Olvia stomped away as she went to the window. "You probably didn't come here to catch up. What are you really here for?" Aokiji was about to reply to her before another knock on the door interrupted them once more. Olvia gave him another dirty stare before going near the door. This time though something was odd since she couldn't see who was at the door. Hesitantly, she opened the door a crack and yelped as a large man overtook the doorframe. "Are you the mother of Nico Robin?" the dark-skinned man asked, his face stoic and menacing. "Yes, to whom am I speaking to?" Olvia asked. darting her eyes at the hidden form of Aokiji. He was now silently watching the confrontation, ready to jump in and defend her if needed. "The boss would like to have a word with you. Come with us without a fuss or we may have to get messy." "Us?" The two adults screamed in their heads before the man swiftly chopped Olvia on the neck. This quick action knocked the woman out, making Aokiji gasp in horror. Before he could interfere, someone knocked something laying his head hard, knocking him out too. A tall woman with an afro laughed as he crumpled to the floor. "No wonder the boss sent us to do this job. She was hiding a cop in here." The woman snarled at his fallen form. "I left the note on the table, Daz, so he can go now. I'll inform the boss that we got Miss All Sunday's mother, Paula. Get the car started." Later that night, Luffy was at the community center, wailing out on a punching bag. Today's session with Robin was so much fun. He got his homework done and even shared a snack with the senior. Truly, she was becoming one of his closest friends. "Does the idiot know that he destroyed that bag already?" Eustace Kid asked, sweat rolling down his face as he finished his session. His good buddy Killer, a masked individual, handed him a water bottle. "He's been in a daze ever since he got here." Turning to a boy who was reading in a corner, he remarked, "Hey Law, can you give us a diagnosis on Straw Hat?" "I'm a medical student, not a psychiatrist." Law snarked, not looking up from his book. Bonnie laughed, taking a huge bite from the pizza she was consuming. "You have no idea how that boy's mind works. Obviously he saw a girl today and it was Nico Robin." "The smartest female at your school, Hawkins," a young man with a tarot deck, asked. "I thought she never interacted with anyone that wasn't from a book." "She's more open now than ever before. Sits at my table along with Luffy and his cohorts." Bonnie shrugged, watching Luffy pick up his phone after thoroughly destroying the sandbag. "She's nice. In a scary genius sort of way." Luffy's face went from happy to serious so fast that Law actually looked up from his book to see a destroyed water bottle on the floor. "Guys, I need your help. Robin just told me her mother has been kidnapped. When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air. The air sparkles with a new life and light. As the gates of Whole Cake Academy open for the day. Robin's day had started out so great. How did it get so horrible at the end of the day? After her study session with the only male at the all-girls school, she felt ready to open up more to her fellow peers. She had always secluded herself from everyone in fear that she may grow attached or get someone hurt due to her past. As she helped Luffy out with whatever subject he was struggling with, his kind aunt and uncle interacted with her. Makino, the kind lady, served them snacks and refreshments when they had break. Shanks, one of the most wealthiest males in the country, was joking around and helping Luffy understand some things that she couldn't explain to him. Both of them were grateful that she helped their cute nephew out. Plus, she was invited to come back anytime she wanted an escape from reality. Straw Hat San has quite the interesting family. Perhaps one day I can ask about his parents. Robin thought, pulling out her key to the house. Opening the door, she noticed the inside was eerily dark and quiet when it usually was bright and warming. She didn't see her mother anywhere at all, making her heart race faster. She was just about to call for help when she noticed a body passed out on the floor. The man she thought she would never see again in all her life. The one that made her fear the one thing she knew she could never trust again. Her now deceased uncle's killer himself. Kuzan groaned loudly, feeling something pressed up against his forehead. His mind was groggy, trying to recall what had happened to him prior his unexpected nap. His head was throbbing, feeling like he had just got punched by Sakazuki. "I wouldn't recommend moving, cop. Had it not been for Nikoya's call, I would have left you for dead." Kuzan's eyes opened to see a young man with a puffy hat treating his head wound while other teens sitting around the room. He saw Robin being comforted by a pink-haired girl while Garp's grandson sat beside her. A red-haired punk sat next to another masked punk while a long-haired blonde guy fiddled with cards. "Robin." His voice came out hoarse and dry. "What happened to Olvia?" "We should be asking you that question, cop." The red-haired guy sneered. "What were you doing in this chick's house with the windows broken and a mysterious note on the table?" "Kid, calm down and let the cop talk," Killer said, calming down his buddy. "There's obviously a good reason for him being here." Kuzan struggled to get himself up, eliciting a grunt from Law. I came to visit Robin and her mother to check up on them since the last time we saw each other was under unforgivable circumstances. The group gave him a wary glance, seeing how sad Robin was acting made his story a bit far-fetched. Luffy gripped Robin's hand a bit, holding the note in his hand. "What do you know about Baroque works?" Luffy asked him, giving him a glare. Kuzan sighed, rubbing his forehead from the wound on his head. They're a criminal organization that works with the underground and other illicit activities. Each member gets assigned a number or a holiday and they work for the main man upstairs, Sir Crocodile. That old gator? I heard that he was transporting some sort of rain powder upstate from Alabasta. Kid laughed, getting smacked on the back of the head by Killer. Ow, it's true. I used to be a part of Baroque works, Robin said, making everyone surprised. I worked as Sir Crocodile's right-hand woman and was one of the most ruthless assassins. I never told my mother this because I didn't want her to worry about me going out in the streets. I met Crocodile through the library program and became quite intrigued with him. He found my skills useful enough for him to exploit. I ended up being his translator for all his texts and kept the others in line. We were the perfect pair. Wow, I never took you for the mercenary type Nico Ya, Law said, putting up his medical equipment. Didn't think the master genius of my own school used to be in a gang. Frankly, I'm impressed. Bonnie remarked, giving Robin a grin. Sir Crocodile wanted to become more than just friends with me. One night, we were about to make a deal with the Don Flamingo family. We stayed at a hotel to make the trade when Crocodile locked the bedroom we were staying inside. Robin was now in tears, wrapping her arms around Luffy's. I asked him why he did that, but all he said nothing. Suddenly, I was thrown onto the bed and he pressed his hands down on my arms. There was silence as they let this information sink in. Kuzan was now gritting his teeth in anger at someone trying to SXU ally assault the girl he considered a sister to him. The others were angry that someone had tried to trick a poor girl into doing things to her. Luffy gripped Robin's hand as a calm anger overtook him. Did he do something to hurt you? Luffy asked her, giving her comfort. No, I managed to push him off before he could do something to me. He got furious at this, slapping me across the face and demanding that I let him do this. I got angry and kicked him in his private parts. After this, I broke the lock and ran into the night. Far away from home, I had no idea how to get back to my mother since my phone was dead. How did you get back? Killer wondered, now intrigued by the story. Help came in the most unlikely place. Coach Viola was driving nearby and picked me up. I was so grateful towards her that I now tutor her niece on the weekends. Robin looked down at her hands, seeing them shaking. I can't stop thinking about that night, how scared that made me. The fear. It haunts me till this day. I don't ever want to experience that feeling ever again. Geez. That's some terrifying crap, Kid muttered, eyeing the sad visage on Robin's face. Both Luffy and Kuzan got up and headed towards the door. Bonnie's eyes widened in surprise at this, blocking them at the door. Where are you two going? I'm sure you both don't have a plan on where to find this place, she informed them, shaking her head. We go there and kick Croc's butt for what he did to Robin, Luffy said, pounding his fists together. Officer, is it all right for you to overlook this one-time thing? I know your grandfather, so I'll let you off the hook this time, Kuzan admitted, staring at the rest of the group. If you lot want to help out, then I will make sure not to turn you in. There's a 53 chance that this could work, Hawkins informed the other, putting his cards away. I'll help just because the odds are high. Count me in too. Any chance to kick some big shot's butt will get me some street cred. Kid grabbed Killer by the shoulder. And Killer goes where I go. I have nothing planned tonight. I'll help Straw Hat Yaw and Nico Yaw too. Law got up and sighed. I'll call my father and tell him that I'll be late tonight. Bonnie just groaned and nodded her head. Guess I'll have to help too. I'm not going to stand here and watch you all leave and never come back. Robin saw everyone walking towards the door. She couldn't believe how much help she was gaining from people she barely knew. Luffy. The one she had wrote about in her journal since that day. Now she was going to help save her mother and break her out of the hell that her ex-boss put her through. Luffy. Thank you for believing in me. Let me come too. Nobody messes with my family and gets away with it. There was a dark and damp room in the middle of an abandoned warehouse. A lone light bulb swung from the ceiling as the spotlight shone down on a single woman tied up in a chair. Her silver hair hung over her face as her breathing was steady and calm. Even tied up and blindfolded, she kept a calm demeanor. Footsteps were heard and Olvia felt a cold metal hook go underneath her chin. Chuckling was heard as the smell of cigar smoke filled her nostrils. "Hello, Ms. Nico, charmed to finally meet you." The voice was rough and older sounding. "I'm as mentioned me beforehand. I have no idea who you are, sir, but please leave my daughter out of it," Olvia replied calmly. "Your daughter has everything to do with this. In fact, you could say that this is somewhat of a trap I've laid out for her and her new boyfriend." "Boyfriend? Does he mean that gentleman she was helping out today?" "I have no idea what you're talking about. Robin doesn't have a boyfriend." Slap! A red handprint appeared on her face, but Olvia refused to cower in front of this man. "Don't you dare lie to me. She wrote about him in her diary," the man roared, shaking her by the shoulders. "All those lies and slander about my name, and she said nothing but praises and admiration about him. That book holds all her darkest secrets, her true history, and her newfound love for this Luffy guy. I've never read my daughter's journal and you had no right to read what's hers." Olvia chided him, gripping her bonds. "Oh, I think I'm gonna enjoy breaking her down bit by bit like how she did me. I'm going to mess with her mind and tear her down to her weakest point. Then, just to solidify the fact she made a mistake, I'm going to kill that boy in front of her." More smoke was blown in her face. "Once she's brain dead and broken, I think I'll take her back." Olvia struggled in her bonds, tears streaming down her eyes. "Do not hurt my child." Suddenly, she felt something hit her behind the head, causing her to black out temporarily. "Don't worry, I don't plan on hurting her too much. I'm just setting an example on how Baroque works deals with traitors." Crocodile left the interrogation room, Daz standing outside the door waiting for him. "Daz, is everything prepared for Nico Robin's arrival?" "Yes, sir. In fact, I just got notice of a silver car pulling up at the entrance of our territory. Some say that she was the one driving the car." Crocodile chuckled, biting down on his cigar. "Then by all means, let the mouse come straight to the cat. When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air sparkles with a new life and light. As the gates of Whole Cake Academy open for the day. Well, look who came crawling back to me. I knew you couldn't stay away from me." Robin stood there, not trying to break face as she walked closer towards Crocodile. The entire Baroque works hadn't changed that much, but she did notice that Bentham was gone. He left the group to join the college tour group where Professor Ivankov worked. Good that he changed his mind at the last minute. Daz and Paula were giving her a smirk, knowing that she would be reprimanded by the boss. Marianne shot her a worried look, knowing she was the reason that Robin was there in the first place. Galdino sneered as she walked past him, the small girl holding him back before she could do something stupid. Robin was surprised to see Miss Durfee still there with her little grandson Babe, considering the mole-shaped woman was getting older. The only ones she didn't see were Jem and Makita, both of which were busy with the chocolate shop and being the resident firefighter. Sitting on his stupid throne was Crocodile himself, the man with the hook for a hand and eyeing her with a lustful gaze. "Well, I knew you had something of importance of mine here," Robin joked, crossing her arms. "So, where is my mother? I wouldn't be so callous when addressing me, Miss All Sunday. You should remember your place," Crocodile warned, pointing his hook at her. "I can end her life at any moment. You won't because you still need me. I don't work for you anymore, nor would I ever go back to that life." She turned to see some of the billions blocking the door behind her. "Release my mother now or else." The rest of the group laughed at this. Crocodile narrowed his eyes at her and got off his throne. "You think we didn't expect you to have some backup or people who are helping you? I told the billions to deal with your friends outside and I haven't heard anything from them yet. So perhaps they're either dead or currently dying at the moment." He took her hair with his hook, making her turn her head. "You're better off staying here with me and letting me get what I want. You won't win, my friends are coming to save me, especially Luffy." Slap! Robin fell to the floor, holding her cheek in shock. The angry form of Crocodile loomed over her and his face was red with fury. Grabbing her by the hair, he yanked her up to his face. "How dare talk to me that way? Never forget how you owe me and you lead me on that night. Face it, Robin. You can never get rid of me." He blew smoke in her face, making her choke. "Let her go, Croc. She's not the same girl who is being used by you anymore." The door blew open to reveal Luffy and his friends were standing there along with Aokiji, who lazily leaned against the doorframe. The members of Baroque Works were all shocked that they had survived the many minions that they sent their ways. Even Crocodile gave the kid a shocked look before glaring right back at him. "Who the heck do you think you are, Brad? Don't tell me you are the Luffy she's been writing about." This remark made Kid and Killer snicker, Law smirk, Hawkins not making a sound, Bonnie chortle, and Luffy giving her a small smile. He dipped his hat over his eyes, making a shadow. "Yeah, so what, are you going to try and intimidate me? You already hurt my girl and now you want to hurt her mother? Some old fling you turned out to be." He gave Crocodile his signature smile. "Do me a favor and go to hell." Daz and Paula charged forward with their brass knuckles and mace to hit the boy who dared to talk to their boss like that. They were blocked by Law and Kid, who had taken out their sword and metal boxing gloves respectively. Galdino started to throw hot wax, but it got knocked away by Hawkins using some straw. Marianne wanted to go and fight, but was blocked by Bonnie who kept her at arm's length. Drafee gave Killer a glare before she and Babe went to fight him. Aokiji stood next to Luffy, sighing as they left the others to fight. "It was a good plan. I'm surprised that you thought this out in the car ride here," the officer said, giving him a small smile. Robin drove the car while everyone sat in the back row. Aokiji sat beside her, looking as if he was about to fall asleep. Luffy sat behind her, casting a worried glance in the mirror. "Robin, I know you are afraid, but you need to trust that we can do something about this. Leave the minions to us and you go straight to Croc." "Aokiji, you can save her mother, right?" Luffy relayed the plans once more. "You can count on me. I owe her and Robin this much." Aokiji stared at Robin's scared face. "I will make sure I repent for what happened to Save it, I don't need your pity nor your forgiveness." Kid chuckled to himself, shaking his head at what was happening. Killer slapped him on the arm, making him stop. Hawkins was leaned up on the window. Bonnie was snacking on a bag of chips. Law was reading his medical book. "So when we get there, are we going to bash some skulls in or what?" Kid asked, pounding his fist together. "Baroque Works has many people working under them. You can go all out," Aokiji said, staring at the mirror. "I won't arrest you if you do so. I was put on this case anyways." "That's what I wanted to hear," Luffy said, his face now angry. "Anyone who makes my friend uncomfortable needs to pay." "Crocodile." Luffy sent a punch at the mob boss's face, sending him flying backwards into a bunch of crates. He swallowed a deep breath before charging again with another punch. However, Crocodile saw this one coming and blocked it with his hook hand. "I'm gonna send you 10 feet under Straw Hat," he threatened, about to skewer the boy before he was thoroughly soaked with ice water. "Bletch? Who the heck?" Aokiji blew the tip of his ice water gun. "You need to cool off, Croc. That was a warning shot." "What kind of freakin' police officer carries around ice water guns?" Crocodile exclaimed, wiping his face in frustration. Another punch was sent into his gut courtesy of Luffy. The combined efforts of both Luffy's punches and Aokiji's water gun distractions got Crocodile riled up. Now he was desperately trying to hit Luffy and get his revenge against Aokiji. No matter what, the duo made sure that he would not be able to land a single hit. "This one," Luffy cocked back his fist and gave Crocodile a deadly glare, "is for Robin." Pow! The once powerful mob boss received a nasty haymaker to the jaw. The impact was so hard that it made the mighty man fall to the ground unconscious. Luffy glared down at him before walking towards the now sobbing Robin. "Hey, why the tears? I won, didn't I?" Luffy placed his hat onto her head, making her cry harder. "You are safe, Robin, and I will never let anyone else harm you ever again." Footsteps were heard as Olvia came into the room, being rescued by Law when he finished his fight. When she saw the crying form of her daughter on the floor with a boy, she didn't even hesitate to go on her knees and hug the both of them. "Let it all out, baby. Thank you so much for saving me." Olvia cried too, letting out all the locked-up emotions that she held inside her for years. "I love you so much." Aokiji watched from afar, feeling both a sense of pride and remorse. The chilly officer called for backup to come and arrest all the members of Baroque Works. Garp had called him up and congratulated him for a job well done. He even mentioned a promotion in the future for taking on such a big case. Great, more paperwork for him to do. The Straw Hat Boy and his friends had left the scene not too long afterwards. Said boy made him promise to do some sparring one day when he was available. He would look forward to that match when the day came. For now, he just wanted a soft pillow and a long nap. Another attempt to gain Luffy's affection wasted. I'm starting to think I put my trust in the wrong people. Alvida bit her nails in frustration as she typed up the newest segment of he thought getting rid of Nico Robin would be easier than Nami, but it backfired on her. The worst part was that she made the two of them develop a closer bond. Lin has a better chance with him at this point. She hates his guts, and if he flirted with any of her female siblings, then she would kill him. Wait a minute. That wasn't a bad idea. If she could forge a note that Luffy signed and delivered it to the Charlotte household, then she could make it seem like Luffy wanted to date all the girls. Bonus if this not only made Lin jealous, but jealous enough to send him flying. Then she would be there to fix him up, nurse him back to health, and become his girlfriend in one swoop. It's so diabolical that it just might work, Alvida said to herself, giddy at the prospect of getting back at Lin. Just you wait, Luffy, I'm going to make you mine yet. When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air sparkles with a new life and light. As the gates of Whole Cake Academy opened for the day, Pudding yawned as she woke up at her usual time of 4:30 in the morning. This was the start of her day, the first person up in the Charlotte family household. Rolling out of bed, she put on a nice pink dress with a ruffled collar. Picking up her hairbrush, she took the tangles out of her long brown hair. Finally, she took her apron off the foot of her bed. She looked at the other side of the room to see the snoring form of Flampe. The little brat was always the last one up in the morning, almost late for school. This is why Pudding woke up earlier than everyone to prep for the day. Then again, I've always been a morning person. Down the stairs, into the kitchen, and right to her cooking station. She had to make breakfast for the house, lunches for everyone that goes to school, place out pre-made lunches for the workers, and make sure the young ones got to school on time. It was a taxing task, but someone had to do it. Good morning, Pudding. I woke up to give you a hand. The jovial voice of Compote rung out as she poked her head into the kitchen. You always wake up so early to prepare for everything, so I thought you would like some company. Oh. Pudding nearly dropped the bowl of eggs she was whisking. Good morning to you, Compote. I'm not used to seeing people in the morning. If you could, maybe you can help make some lunches for the younger siblings and the ones in school. Compote nodded, happy to help her youngest sibling. I remember when we got some of those young ones. In fact, I remember when you were introduced to the house. So many people living here, everyone from broken houses, abandoned at the doorstep, even from the previous orphanage where the original group of us came from. Pudding watched as the elder made rapid-fire salads, sandwiches, and fruits. Why do you take in all these people? Some have long necks, some have long legs, the dectuplets all look the same, and some of them have weird disabilities. Compote gave her a small smile. I remember something that Mother Caramel used to say about a place where everyone can be welcomed. Lin wanted to take that philosophy to heart. While some found her dream ridiculous, some of us found it quite charming. Taking out all the lunchboxes, she started putting the lunches together. Then the fire burned the house down and took the life of dear Mother Caramel. Saddened by our mother figure gone, Lin took me, Perispero, Katakuri, Oven, and Daikufu out of the house, and we found this place. Then, with the help from some friends, we found lost children and took them in. Providing them with shelter and food, we have been doing this for years. I've raised so many of you. Pudding smiled, making a rather large cake for Lin. Wow, I never knew all that. Makes me smile when I think about of Chiffon, Lola, and Praline are doing in their own families. They should be sending some letters soon. Alarms started ringing from nearby rooms, jolting the two from their conversation. Seems like the family is starting to wake up. Pudding gave Compote a look. Let's get the table set. Hey, stop hogging the jam. Pass me the butter. No, I want the butter. How dare you take the last piece of bacon? Inanna is prodding me with her knife. Make her stop. Wee. Never a boring morning in this house. Scraps of food went flying everywhere as the young ones and some even splattered on the walls. The tablecloth was ruined with stains, crumbs, and knife holes from Anana. Pudding sat at the other end of the large table, ducking her head to avoid another teacup thrown in her direction. Everyone was eating like nobody paid bills, had jobs, or even went grocery shopping. To be fair, the last one had a bill so high that the family accountant nearly had a stroke. Mail run. The tall form of Custard came into the room, pounding on her brother and sister's heads as she went to her side of the table with the mail. Passing the newspaper to Brûlé, handing the mail to the respective sibling, and then pausing when she saw a pink note. Ooh, a mystery letter. Yoink. Fore snatched the letter out of her hand, grinning mischievously. Thanks for the letter, sis. I'll be happy to see who sent it. Hey, hand it over, Sharp-Tooth. Custard protested, trying to get the letter back and avoid being bit by her sister. Knock it off, Poire. Galette took the letter from her hands and saw the address. Odd. It says, to the prettiest Charlotte girl, on the note. There was silence as you could hear every spoon, fork, and knife drop from that proclamation alone. Perisparrow chuckled as he took a long sip of tea before looking at the table. So, whom is the letter for? Which female is the prettiest female in the house? He joked, awaiting the explosion that would occur. Flamp got up and made a cutesy face. Let me see the letter, I'm the cutest one here, so maybe I can open it myself. She held out a hand. Can I please, big sister? Galette hesitated before handing the letter to the brattiest sibling. Almost immediately, she tore the envelope with a sadistic glee as a pink letter floated into her hands. Ooh. A love letter. Flamp grinned at the females who were curious, ones who were trying to act like they didn't care, and the small majority who were too old to care. It says, to the Charlotte family girls, I await our many dates and hope you will say yes. I will do whatever you want me to do for the whole day. Please send your replies soon. Love your admirer, Monkey D. Luffy. Oh wow, isn't that the boy Linlin-san likes? Pudding gave her a harsh glare as the pink-haired girl was still getting ready upstairs. Some of the sisters were intrigued that the young man wanted to date them. Some thought it was a farce of some kind. You've got to be kidding me. This punk thinks he can date by sisters? Cracker exclaimed, squeezing the hands of Custard and Angel. He thinks he's so slick, I'll go wipe that smug look on his face. He's probably bluffing. No male would ever want to date every girl in this family, Cinnamon said, rolling her eyes. Plus, we might be too good for him. I see no reason to reply. Agreed, a man like him is just trying to get something out of us. Amanda replied, keeping Anana from poking her with her knife. Let's go over to his house and beat him up. Why not reply to his letter of love? I find it quite romantic when a boy sends a love letter, Melise sighed happily, twirling her hair. It's quite old-fashioned and sweet. I agree, Panna said, surprising some of her sisters. I never met a boy who would ask out all of us at once. Even some of us have been craving someone who loved us despite our imperfections. The boys watched as some of their sisters looked away sadly. There were some people who found their family weird and odd. They've been called freaks, monsters, and even some have bullied them in the past. Pudding heard many stories of Brûlé getting beat up, Poire nearly getting her teeth pulled out, and even Jarscarpone getting poked out on her neck. Smoothie and her sisters were ridiculed for being taller than some people along with others. The only ones who never got bullied were Flamp, Wafers, and Normand, but that was because they were still so young. So reply then, Pudding proclaimed, slamming her fist on the table and startling the group. Gosh darn it. Everybody deserves to feel special about themselves. We have so much confidence in ourselves and in others. If Luffy wants to give you all the times of your lives, go and take advantage of this opportunity. She's right, you know. The rumbling voice of Katakuri rung out from his scarf. He's a nice guy. I trust that he won't break your hearts. Now if Big Brother Katakuri said he was fine, then maybe they would take this chance. It wouldn't hurt to see how the young man who be in a date. Taking a deep breath, Compote went to speak as well. Shall I get the pretty E? She smiled at the stunned looks on their faces. What? You've got to write a pretty letter back to the boy you like. A shudder ran down Linlin's back as she felt something strange was about to happen in her house. I don't know what, but I feel like hurting that stupid Straw Hat boy. Finishing school? What kind of punishment is this? It was a few days after helping Robin out and defeating Baroque Works. After hearing that his own grandson and friends had taken out Crocodile, Garp made sure that he got a big clap on the back and slap on the wrist. Then a fist of love on the head for good measure. In order to keep him from doing crazy stunts like that again, he was forced to go to finishing school for a few weeks. This was why he stood outside the Laveli Academy for High Society with a briefcase in his hand, wearing a red suit that matched his hat's ribbon, and a letter for the woman in charge. Currently he was chatting with said grandfather who made Shanks drop him off early in the morning. This should make you become a better gentleman for when you enter the police force, Garp said, cackling like a madman. I made sure that the woman in charge of the school admitted you with no fuss. You better treat this lady with respect or else I'll send you to the Impel Down Juvenile Hall. So pass with flying colors and Makino will pick you up later. With a click, he hung up and left Luffy to his own devices. Luffy grit his teeth and took a deep breath before walking forward. He was going to do this again, be around females who will constantly judge him and treat him like dirt. He figured this would lead him into therapy later, but at least when he graduated high school he would live with his buds. Luffy, is that you? Luffy turned around to see Vivi running near him. Her hair was down and tied with golden bands. She wore a long-sleeved pink dress, with gold accessories at the waist and arms, and a cape, red on the outside and dark blue on the inside. On her arms was a matching pink purse. Vivi, I didn't know that you went to this finishing school. Luffy rubbed the back of his neck in embarrassment. Are you doing this on punishment too? Vivi rose an eyebrow. No, I'm doing this because I will be leading the Alabasta company one day. This is how I network with the other ladies. I'm just surprised that you are in another mostly female school. Aw man. Luffy held his head between his hands. How do I keep doing this to myself? Laughter was heard behind him as another familiar face appeared behind him. Standing behind him was Rebecca, who wore a light-colored yellow dress with frills at the bottom, and matching ribbon which was tied at the top of her long braided light pink hair. A red purse was in her hands. Oh hey Rebecca. You made it just in time today. Vivi hugged her friend before gesturing towards Luffy. You know Luffy, right? I've seen him around school. You're part of Cammy's fashion club and Carrot's animal lovers team. Rebecca gave him a shake on the hand. You have a strong grip. Thanks, I train at the rec center after school. A loud bell rung to signal the start of the school day. Vivi turned towards Luffy with an apologetic smile. Sorry Luffy, we'll have to cut this chat short. Rebecca and I have princess training, hope you get a good class here. The blue-haired female gave a wave before leaving with Rebecca. Luffy took a deep breath and stared at the large building. He hoped this was worth the Saturday morning. Ladies, did you hear the news? So, I couldn't possibly pass up the chance to tell? Laveli Academy offered a few different routed to their training regiment. There was a male class called King's Corner for those males in high-class families and inheriting big sums of wealth. Princess training was for those who lived in the middle class and wanted to build business connections with others. The Queen's class was a course for those who wanted to get finer training in high society elegance. Only a few get to be in the Empress entourage, where you already have a clear path, high-class training, and influential in the community. However, only Saturdays were dedicated to the Princess and Queen classes. The Queens had a handful of girls from influential families that ran important companies throughout the state. Usually the class would be for the more gossipy females that had little to no time on their hands to bother learning from their assigned teachers. Nobody actually learned in this class, and when asked to pay attention, they would threaten to tell their families. Nobody dared to speak out against them. The first was Sari Nanotakanet, a tall, thin girl, with long bright wavy blonde hair, blue eyes, and a pointy nose. She wears a yellow-orange dress with flower motifs and a feather on her hair. Her arms were covered with long, white gloves. Her laughter filled the air as she sat next to another female. The female in question was Mororan, slender and regal-looking woman with teal eyes. Her pale blonde hair is gathered in an updo with side locks that curl at her cheeks and a thinner lock of hair on each side of her face that reach past her shoulders. She wears a form-fitting blue dress with pink polka dots. She wears pink lipstick, nail polish and a gold tiara shaped like 3 rectangles. Her attire is completed with gold hoop earrings, a pink sash around her neck, a tiny red beaded necklace, and 2 lilac bracelets on her left wrist. Cackling noises were heard from the back from the beauty queen Kinderella. She was a slim female with purple hair in a bob cut. She wore a long purple dresses, a dark cape with bat wings on the shoulders, a hood with a crow design, long light-colored gloves, and an eye mask. At the moment, she was texting her new fling while chewing gum. The final girl sat up front with her notes out and ready for class. This was bande de déjeuner, a female with short silver blue hair, blue eyes and purple lipstick. She wears a white headscarf and a crimson dress that hugged her waist. Sunglasses were perched gently on her forehead. Who let the brat into class? I thought she was banned from, like, coming here, Cinderella said, not bothering to look at the door to see who was there. Now kindy, we allow everyone with high status into class regardless of background, Sari said, waving a fan in front of her face before whispering under her breath. Even if she is a noble's brat. The one who entered the class was none other than one of the world noble's daughters, Charlia. Like others in her community, she wore a plastic bubble over her head to prevent herself from breathing commoner air. Her hair inside the bubble is styled upwards, forming a curl above her head. She wears a veil over the lower half of her face and light orange-tinted shades over her eyes. She also wears heart-shaped earrings that matched her magenta dress and red gloves. Do tell us the gossip then, Char-chan, Mororan asked, placing her hands on her cheeks. Charlia huffed, taking her seat as she leaned over. Get this, some common noseboy is going to be joining our class today. I can't believe they are letting this boy in our class. She rolled her eyes. I guess I'll have to ask Daddy to get him out of class. Who the heck cares if some boy is coming in? Cinderella texted her fling with gusto. The only boy I'm interested in is my Wapo-kun. Well, I've been having my eyes on a certain gentleman in the king's corner. He's not much of a looker, but his pockets intrigue me. Sari chuckled, getting a laugh from Mororan. You ladies disgust me. A woman should marry for love, not because the man is rich. Ban commented, putting her pencils in pristine order. And half of you have arranged marriages. Could you be any more of a buzzkill, Ban? Sari stuck her tongue out at the girl. It's not like we learn anything in this class anyways, so why are you trying to be a teacher's pet? I bet she is just as curious as I am when it comes to the mystery boy. Charlia eyed the door, which was opening. If he even touched me the wrong way, I'll make sure Daddy kills his reputation. Coming into the classroom was the teacher of the Queen's class, Regina Hart. She was a tall, curvy woman with curly red hair that curved up at the ends and went down her back. In her hair was a gold heart accessory that parted her hair to the side. She wore a white dress within her waist, red heels, and white hand gloves. A big gold locket hung around her neck. Following her was Luffy, whose face turned red at the sight of more females eyeing him. Good morning, ladies. We have a new gentleman joining us today. Regina nudged Luffy to step forward. Don't be shy, Mr. Monkey. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Snickers were heard as Charlia and Cinderella mocked Luffy's name. Ban sighed at their immature nature. Mororan held in her laughter, but she had a terrible poker face. Only Sari was smart enough to hide her chortle behind her fan. Luffy let out a breath through his nose. Greetings, ladies. My name is Monkey D. Luffy and I hope I can learn a lot from this class. He bowed, staring at the ground. Might I say you all look lovely today. Ooh, I'm gonna enjoy your company, Mororan exclaimed, batting her eyelashes. Of course you would, you airhead. Cinderella snarked, going back to her phone. All it takes is one little compliment and you'll melt right into any guy's arms. His name fits his disgusting face. Charlia sneered, staring at Luffy like he was gum off her shoe. Get up, monkey, and get to a seat already. It's bad enough I have to be in the same class as these peons, but your stench is making me hurl. Luffy got up, staring at her blankly. Are you the teacher? No, so what? Then you can't tell me what to do. Why are you even wearing a bubble on your head? Are you sick or something? This time Sari and Mororan did laugh out loud. Cinderella even broke into a fit of giggles. Ban, ever the quiet one, cracked a small smile at the boldness of this male. Charlia was fuming, her face red with embarrassment. Lady Regina snorted at his attitude before coughing. Mr. Monkey, we do not disrespect our peers. You may sit by Miss Cinderella and we shall start with today's exercise. Luffy nodded, walking to the back of the class. He narrowly avoided tripping twice due to Charlia and Sari trying to make a fool out of him. Finally, He reached his desk and placed his briefcase down. Cinderella watched from the corner of her eye, staring mostly at his toned chest through his suit. This actually made her place her phone down for the first time ever. "So Luffy, right? What made you take this class? It's super boring and nobody even pays attention." "This is just my punishment for taking down an illegal smuggling ring. I beat up the boss and saved my friend," he replied, taking out a banana to eat. Cinderella's eyes lit up and grinned widely. "Are you a bad boy, Luffy? I like bad boys." "I wouldn't say I am. I only do things like that when my friends are in danger." "Oh, well, bummer. Well, I'd still date you because you are cute." Luffy rubbed the bridge of his nose. This would be a long day. Luffy was silently trying to not snap at any of these girls. "Focus, Mr. Monkey. You need to treat a woman gently and not drop her. Trust is the key for a stable relationship." Lady Regina had the excellent idea of starting to teach the girls and Luffy how to waltz. Cinderella was paired with Luffy, Sari was paired with Mororan, and Charlia was paired with Ban. Soft classical music filled the air as Regina instructed the ladies to dance to the rhythm while Luffy was trying to keep up with the beat. Cinderella was working well, taking moments to touch his behind while giving him a clear smack when the teacher wasn't looking. It took all his willpower not to throttle this female out the nearest window. The others giggled at his misfortune, knowing that if he protested, he would get reprimanded. All day Luffy had to endure his lunch being thrown on the floor, burned by scalding tea, nearly ripped his sewing project, and being called every slur under the sun by Charlia. "Aren't you going to yell at me, Monkey-chan?" Cinderella asked, allowing him to dip her. "I've been groping your butt for the past 15 minutes. Luffy sighed, bringing her back up. "I'm not going to scream nor will I yell at you. In fact, I almost pity you in a way. If you have a hard time keeping your lust down, then it must be hard for you to hold a relationship." A pause made him almost stumble as he met the furious face of Cinderella. "How dare you? I don't need you judging or pitying me. You are just some peasant that wandered his way into our class." Luffy let go of Cinderella, who stumbled and fell onto her bottom. Regina was about to snap at Luffy, but saw his eyes were filled with sadness and shut up. The other girls stopped what they were doing while Mororan picked Cinderella off the floor. "You know what? I don't get you girls. You treat normal people like dirt, you disrespect those who don't have money like you, and you never once treated me nicely while I was here. I understand that you all come from prominent families, but you all don't deserve any of the luxuries your parents gave you." They all gasped, feeling like Luffy just stepped on their faces and called them ugly. "Shut up, monkey. You clearly don't know your place," Charlia screeched, pointing at him. "You're one to talk with the way you present yourself and how you treat women. I treat those who treat me with respect. How can I give you the same benefit when you don't do the same for me?" Luffy glared at the bubble-headed girl. "You are the most ugly, rude, and nasty girl I have ever had the displeasure of meeting. The only reason that the other girls aren't as bad is because they keep their nasty sides hidden. You, on the other hand, give me the impression that your family clearly doesn't discipline you enough. Spoiled girls like you will never know struggle and you'll probably pass out trying anything." There was silence as the girls either glared or frowned at his words. Charlia looked as if she was about to explode as she walked up to him and raised her hand to slap him. Before her hand connected, Ban grabbed it tightly and gave a quick squeeze. "Ban, what the heck do you think you're doing? He just straight up insulted me," the harpy screeched, before whimpering at the hold Ban had on her wrist. "You're harming me too." Ban gave her a steely glare before looking at the others. "We all should be ashamed of ourselves. We come from noble backgrounds with families that can buy literal people like objects. The way we carry ourselves is a way the world will see us. Mr. Luffy, thanks to your poor attitudes, will speak ill against our families if and when he gets out of here. Why should we worry about that? We can always just bribe him not to do so," Sari said, batting her eyes. "We're rich. What if we lose it all? We have nothing but our parents' money backing us up. Say you get disowned? Then you'll be no more than a simple commoner like Mr. Luffy." Mororan tried to laugh it off. "So, are you saying we should be nice to him in order to keep our power?" Ban released the whiny Charlia before standing in front of Luffy before bowing. This made the girls gasp in shock. No one with money and power would ever stoop so low to bow before anyone lower than their class. "I know I did nothing to bother or mess with you, but on behalf of my foolish classmates, I apologize for their mistreatment of you." Luffy stared at the only girl who did nothing wrong to him all day. In fact, Ban helped clean him up after his lunch was spilled on him. She even helped him with his sewing and etiquette. For all that's worth, his respect level for her soared. He placed a hand under her chin, allowing her to see his handsome face and big smile. "Hey now, no need to bow to me. I'm no king and I'm certainly no big tycoon or rich boy. I'm just a normal guy who likes meat, his friends, and strong people in general. You seem like a strong girl, no woman. You've earned my respect, Ban-chan. Raise your head high and never let nobody tell you change yourself." He grabbed her hands and swept her upwards, causing a blush to appear on her face. Then, remembering the lesson Ms. Regina had taught him, he pressed a kiss on her hand and winked at her. "Shall we continue the dance lesson? I'd like to dance with Miss Ban now." Regina smiled at this before putting on the music once more. Luffy bowed to Ban, who in turn bowed back as she led them back on the dance floor. She felt her cheeks getting hotter as they waltzed across the floor. Luffy made careful steps to not hit her feet. Their bodies intertwined with one another. It was almost like watching professional dancers gliding on air. From the sidelines, the other girls watched in irritation at their classmate actually having fun in their class. Perhaps it was their own cold hearts that pushed away their peers and prevented them from making friends. Charlia even tried ignoring the dreamy expression in Ban's eyes as she was dipped by the handsome man. "Wait, handsome? Him? The boy who directly insulted her?" Ban thinks she's clever, ensnaring that monkey boy all to herself. Sari snarled, covering her mouth once more. "I bet if I groveled like she did, I would be dancing with him instead." Giggles erupted from Muraren's mouth, but they sounded more forced. "You have to admit that he is cute and smart. I've never had a man tell me off like that." He even managed to shut up Charlia. Kinderola growled at the two dancing. "What does she have that I don't? No way does a bad boy like him go for a goody-goody like Ban. I'm telling you that this is a ploy. I had him wrapped around my little finger earlier." While the trio stewed in their own inner feelings, Charlia was disturbingly quiet as she ruminated her own conflicting feelings. Being a celestial dragon meant that everyone was beneath her and would never live up to their reputation. She was even set to marry another whom was like her. Then why was she feeling upset that this boy, this S, was dancing with another girl right in front of her? All she could do was bite her lip till it bled as the duo laughed and danced. The bells signaled the end of the day as the girls and Luffy packed up their items. Ms. Regina had given them an assignment to do over the week, but knew that none would even attempt to do so. She praised Luffy for his first day and hoped he would return again. He made no promises, but thanked the red-haired woman for allowing him to attend class. Now he was out front, waiting for Makino to pick him up. The taste of her food caused him to salivate since he barely had enough to eat for breakfast and lunch. Afterwards, he looked forward to a nice bath and going to sleep. "Hey Mon, I mean Luffy." Behind him stood all the girls from the Queen's class, the one who had spoken being Sari. He noticed they were still wearing their fancy clothing, making him realize that these were their regular clothes. Shrugging that off, he stared at them with an indifferent gaze. "Yes? Is there something you girls want? Well, we wanted to? What Sari dear is trying to apologize for our rude behavior," Mororan said, her smiling face shining. "It was wrong for us to treat you like trash and call you names behind your back. When you told us off, we realized that we are terrible brats that totally needed a reality check." Kinderola looked up from her phone before turning it off. Luffy shrugged, nodding at this. "Apology accepted. I just don't like those who flaunt their riches and belittle those who are lesser than them. At the end of the day, we are all equal in some form, shape, or way." Sari's lip went upwards in a teasing smirk. "Well, if there's a way for us to make it up to you, then please tell us. Name your price." Luffy thought about this for a second before giving them a big grin. "I think I may have a way you can make it up to me. Oi Makino, can you pass me some more meat?" Party's bar was lively on a Saturday night as the usual bar patrons watched in awe at the large table in the corner. Makino just laughed to herself as she was currently cooking some more meat for her favorite customer. What she was really surprised at was the group that Luffy had brought with him today. It wasn't every day you saw people from the Laveli district eating in a small town bar. Luffy sat in the midst of all the rich girls, a large piece of meat hanging out his mouth. Mororan, red in the face from drinking, was laughing at his stretched out cheeks and spilling wine on herself. Sari was waving her fan in front of her mouth to cool down her heated tongue. She was sharing a plate of nachos with Ban, who was humming in delight from the crunch of the chips. Kinderola was taking pictures of her food, sneaking bites of her sliders as she did. Even Charlia was nursing a non-alcoholic daiquiri and snacking on pretzel bites. "Luffy, you never told us how good commoner food can be," Kinderola said, splattering ketchup on her plate. "My father never lets me eat these fried crisps. I'm so blogging about this place to my followers." "Spicy. I need some more water," Sari shrieked, grabbing some water and chugging it down. "I told you to not eat those jalapenos. Your soft mouth couldn't handle it." Ban droned, munching on more nacho chips. "Try not to take pictures of me, kindy. I don't want my family to know I'm here." Charlia ducked under the table to avoid being seen. "I can't stand breathing the same air as these people." "Oh, lighten up, Sharia," a drunken Mororan slurred, taking another sip of her wine. "We're only young once. Let's break a couple rules for once and have fun." Makino walked over with some more meat for Luffy. "Thank you all for coming here tonight. It's always nice to see Luffy bring his friends over. You seem like charming girls." "Oh, stop, Luffy, your auntie is so delightful. I'm giving her a nice tip." Luffy just stuffed another piece of meat in his mouth and laughed. "Yeah, she is. I'm so glad you all decided to come here with me. You aren't so bad when we get to know the real people behind the snootiness. Sometimes we all tend to judge people before we get to know them." Ban stared at her plate. "I'm happy that I got to know you too, Luffy." Kinderola rolled her eyes. "Enough with this sappy stuff. Let's take a group photo already to commemorate the day." With help from Makino, the girls and Luffy got close together. They had to drag Charlia to join in, as she took the picture from Kinderola's phone. Despite being from different social classes, they managed to find friendship with each other. When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air sparkles with a new life and light, as the gates of Whole Cake Academy open for the day. "Oi Luffy, what the heck are all these letters doing at the front door?" Luffy was scarfing down his breakfast before hearing his grandfather call out to him from the foyer. Since his father worked in the university, he was hardly home and basically lived at the school. He would call from time to time, but for the most part he was absent from his life. And even more so since he worked for an underground organization that kept him away from his only son. Father of the Year. Garp came into the kitchen with an armful of letters that smelled faintly of perfume and baked goods. He examined each one before realizing they all came from the same house. Then he noticed what street they came from and gave Luffy an incredulous look before bashing him into his bowl of cereal. "Luffy, are you trying to date multiple females from the Charlotte family?" he exclaimed, his face red with anger. "I thought I taught you better than to date too many ladies. What would your mother say?" Luffy picked his dripping face up from his now soggy cereal and glanced at him. "Gigi, why would I date any of the Charlotte girls? Their pink-haired leader hates my guts." "Then how do you explain all these?" Garp placed all the letters down on the table. "They all have the same look to them and smell of various Amazon Lily brand perfumes." Luffy spat out some of his breakfast before giving him an incredulous look. "How do you know that brand?" Garp waved him off, wiping his eyes with a napkin. "I knew this day would come when multiple girls started noticing you. I thought I would have to place you in finishing school to find a good girl. Oh, your mother would be so proud to hear that you have smitten all these girls." Luffy ignored his doting grandfather to look at the pile of letters on the table. He was right about one thing. They were all from the Charlotte family. Each of their handwritings were different and unique, making it easier for him to see which was which. He didn't think that Linlin's crazy family would actually have crushes on him, but seeing as most of these girls aged from slightly older than him to a bit younger than him, he didn't want to upset them. "Gigi, I'm going over to the park for a while." He placed all the letters into a backpack and slung the bag over his shoulder. "Make sure to tell Uncle Senny and Aunt Suru that I said hi and sorry that I missed them. Make sure you are back by 8. I don't trust your father to make dinner for us. Here's the problem. I have way too many admirers and they all sent me letters. What should I do?" Luffy was sitting at the table with what he called his grand fleet, or just the people who were friends with him on the weekends. Some had full-time jobs during the week, so once everyone's schedules lined up they went out to the Dressrosa diner. Burgers, fries, milkshakes, and other items littered the table along with the many letters that were given to Luffy. The group read most of these letters, eyes widened at some of what the girls had written. Wow! Never realized how romantic the Charlotte girls could be. The pretty boy of the gang, Cavendish said, blushing at some of the spicier letters. You are one lucky guy, Luffy. I'm kinda jealous. I'm pretty sure some of them are slightly older than you. My own wife wrote me many letters when she was trying to court me. Sigh, the only married one of the group put out. I don't see the problem with seeing multiple women. Some of these women seem nice. Just pick one to start with and see who'd you want to court. Idiot took a sip of his root beer. Yeah, Luffy. There must be one nice woman in that big family, Leo exclaimed, pumping his fist. Bartolomeo slammed his hands on the table, startling them all. Luffy-senpai. I would be honored to help you with your dating life. Bart, the only reason you are helping out is because you are part of the fan club started by that crazy girl from his school. Haruden said, pointing his fork at the man's "I heart Luffy" button. I still stand my ground. Luffy deserves all the love and support that only we can give him. That's why we'll help him plan out each and every one of his dates for him. Orlumbus spat out his drink in shock. Wait, what? When did we agree to do something like that? Plus, we have no idea what each girl likes enough to plan this kind of thing. The guys all grumbled among themselves. In truth, the Charlotte family were the most despised group of individuals in the town. Nobody wanted to talk to them due to Lin being the most vile brat that ever lived. Her brothers were either thugs, rude to most people, or overprotective towards their sisters. The only sisters that were worth talking to without being sneered or shunned were Pudding, Praline, Chiffon, Lola, and sometimes Compote. Other than those women, the others were mysterious, aloof, or just kept to themselves. Nobody knew much about them because nobody wanted to. Cavendish tapped his chin before staring at Luffy. Say, Cap, isn't one of your friends from your little fight club married to a Charlotte girl? I heard they had a kid last year too. Luffy thought for a second before gasping in surprise. Oh yeah, Beeg is married to Chiffon. She's very nice, you know? One time, she made lemon squares for the entire squad and kid choked from eating too many at once. We all started laughing until Killer gave him the Heimlich maneuver. I also babysit their kids sometimes since I always take good care of Makinos all the time. Pez is a bit easier than her kid, but it could be that the entire mafia makes sure I change his diaper and feed him on time. The table was silent as they gave each other looks before nodding. Looks like they were going to chat with a nice woman. Luckily Chiffon was a wonderful hostess. Of course she gave hugs and kisses to Luffy when she opened the door of the Capone gang's mansion. The others were also surprised how chill the entire mafia group was towards him, waving happily and giving him greetings. They introduced themselves to the large lady and her child that was in her arms. Now they sat at a large table with slices of cake and tea. Pez was sucking a bottle while Luffy bounced him on his knee. They explained the situation to her, which she took quite nicely. It's nice of you to take out my sisters. I never thought someone would date all my sisters at once though. Chiffon smiled at Luffy, who grinned back. I would love to help you with what they like and what they dislike. Bless your heart, ma'am. You're such a nice lady. Barto shook her hands before being pushed back by some guards. Hey, I was only thanking the lady. Madam Chiffon, please tell us about each and every sister outside of Lin and how we can plan the most perfect times for all of them. Cavendish took a sip of tea. And the recipe for this marvelous tea. Chiffon chuckled. Well, since you all ask so kindly. Very well, can someone hand me a pad and a pen? I'll write down each and every sister, identify the letter they wrote, and tell you how to charm her. Sai took out his own notebook from his bag, making the others give him a look. When you get married, you carry around a lot of stuff you never thought you would need. Oh geez. We need to hang out with you more. I think Baby 5 has affected your mind. Idiot teased, punching him on the arm. Luffy placed the letters on the table. Everyone take a pile and get learning. Knock, knock, knock. Is that the door? I have homework to do. Someone else answer it. Lin yelled from her room, making the entire house shake. Some of the family were in the living room watching TV. Pudding was cooking up a storm in kitchen for dinner, and a group of brothers were putting together a new shelf for the garage. The only one closest to the door was Melise, who groaned at the fact that nobody wanted to get up. Trudging to the door, she opened it and screamed. Several oaths screamed and came into the room to see what was going on. To their surprise, Luffy was at the door, hair-combed, a pressed suit, and flowers in his hands. He was quite nervous for even being here so late at night at the house of his sworn enemy. Then again, maybe her sisters were slightly better. He didn't expect to be screamed at by a girl with antlers. Chiffon warned him this would happen. Tugging his collar, he took a deep breath and spoke from the lines he had memorized. Charlotte family women, my name is Monkey D. Luffy. I sent you that letter and you sent me yours. I am here to invite you all on romantic dates to make it up to you. He's joking, right? This must be a joke. The man took a puff from her cigarette. No, he seems sincere. Prim spoke out, her face turning into shock. Someone actually wants to date us? Broy covered her mouth as tears ran down her face. Smoothie walked past them all, towering over the kneeling Luffy. Are your words really true? Do you want to actually date all of us? Can you even handle all of us? Luffy gave her a determined look, taking her by the hand. The only thing you can say is no. I am willing to try and make all of you feel like special women for one morning, afternoon, or evening of your choice. We can do anything you want and I won't complain. Just allow me to sweep all you off your feet. The boys were about to beat up this punk who dared to come on their property when they heard sniffling coming from their sisters. Suddenly, without warning, they all started to cry loudly. Luffy was then pulled into a hug by a sobbing Smoothie. All the girls group hugged him, covering him in snot, tears, and for the one poking his hand with a blade, blood. Can you believe this guy? Thinking he can date all our sisters at once? Cracker grumbled, crossing his arms. Oh hush. Let them have their fun. Parasparrow swatted him. If he hurts them, we can kill him. I wonder if that Luffy has become overwhelmed by all those girls yet? Maybe it's time for me to slip into his life now. Alvida was as giddy as a schoolgirl while she relaxed in the tub. Drinking some pink lemonade, she had a tray over the tub where she typed up the latest issue of the gossip column. Already she had a title for the next big scoop that Luffy was getting beat up by the Charlotte sisters. As soon as her informant gave her the okay, she was going live with the post and ruining him. Once he was depressed enough, she was going to swoop in and take him. Her cell phone rang loudly, making her smirk. Alvida knew this was Porch with her gossip. Talk to me, Porch. Is our little monkey miserable or what? You won't believe this, Alvida. Luffy is going to date all of Charlotte's sisters on multiple dates. Alvida spat out her pink lemonade in disbelief. There was no way that was happening. He should be beaten up, bruised, or battered for having the audacity to flirt with them. Not only was he thriving, but he was thriving with multiple women from the same house. Shut up. I was hoping he would be devastated, not happy, growling. She swiped her tablet off the tray and stood up. How could this have happened? Don't know, but my boss Foxy is trying to figure it out. He only runs the best tabloid in town. Our spies can only do so much. Fine. I want over-the-top surveillance on him. Give me all the details, and I want to know how he's getting all those kittens smitten. Alvida turned off her phone and walked towards her window. Luffy, you will date me and love me even if I have to break every heart of all the girls in this city to get you. When the cherry blossoms fall to the ground, and the scent of perfume fills the air sparkles with a new life and light. As the gates of Whole Cake Academy open for the day, rumors and news spread fast around town. In a town where crime is high, the police are brutal, and the youth continue to thrive, there's nothing like hearing the gossip that keeps everyone interested. Makino would hear the drunks speak about how her husband's crew and their good deeds. The rec center would always have some competition that everyone would look forward to. Even Raftel University, the shining jewel of the town, had its fair share of news, controversy, and juicy gossip. The one who did all this rumor sharing and chaos cooking was the man, the myth, the legend, Foxy. Running the local tabloid was never an easy feat. In fact, most people would ignore the filth he would write about denizens of the town. The newsstand would still have some of his papers after a long news day. It sickened him since there was a time of peace going on and nothing new was happening. He almost thought that switching to the online blog was a bad thing. Just as he was about to yell at his editor to cancel the fake news about Dr. Vegapunk, his trusted intern Portia burst in with a stack of papers underneath her arms. Mr. Foxy. Mr. Foxy. I have some news for you today. She ran past some of the other coworkers, nearly knocking over someone holding a cup of coffee. So, you said not to trust my source for all things juicy, but I have some news that may attract the attention of everyone and put our Foxy news back on top. Foxy lay across the desk, rolling his eyes. This trusted source of yours is highly shady. I admire that, but there's nothing that will garner attention. We don't have inside sources for Kaido, Big Mom, Blackbeard, Shanks, or even Whitebeard for that matter. I can't imagine what stupid schoolyard news you have for me today. Well, it does involve the Big Mom group. That elicited a reaction from the downed publisher. His head shot up, a big grin wrapped around his face, and he started to cackle. Portia backed away in shock while the rest of the group stared at him. Rubbing his nose, he snatched the papers from her hands and read the freshly typed article and pictures. Oh, this is fresh, new, and involves a scandal of a lifetime. Does Big Mom know this? Can we get her testimony if this blows up? Portia smirked, sitting down in front of the desk. She has no idea. If we publish this news today, I think we'll be back in business in no time. Plus, Big Mom will get so mad that it will cause a shift in the balance of peace. This will cause enough gossip for the Foxy News to get back on top. The rest of the crew gave a cheer as they started dancing about the room. Foxy nodded, giving Portia a thumbs up. Very good, intern. Tell your source to keep doing what they're doing and gather more of this monkey business. I have a feeling he's going to be in the papers more than Roger himself. Meanwhile, while some shady dealings were going on, Luffy and his weekend friends were chilling out at the local mechanic shop of Cuddy Flam aka Frankie the Robot Man. The reason why they called him that was because his entire body was replaced with robot parts and other things that made him more man than machine. Whenever they had the time, Frankie would allow them to come over for lunch and to catch up since they all went to different schools. In doing so, most of the school guys affectionately called him Uncle Frankie, despite the fact that he was in his early 20s. Luffy laid across the table that they were using to eat on. He was slurping a soda, playing around and blowing bubbles within the stuff. Zoro raised an eyebrow at his behavior, taking another bite of his burger. Usopp and Chopper were playing the new Pirate Clash card game, Usopp clearly cheating and making the rules as they went along. Sanji was texting on his phone, a lovesick grin on his face as he continued to gush. Yamato leaned back against the chair, nibbling on some fries while staring at Luffy too. Frankie was nearby, drinking his cola and fixing up a nice, shiny red car for a client. Alright, this has gone on long enough. What's wrong? Zoro finally asked, wiping his mouth. You clearly have something on your mind. Yamato scoffed, turning away as they crossed their arms. Isn't it obvious? Haven't you heard the news? News? What news? Usopp's eyes darted towards the mopey Luffy. Did he hurt a girl's feelings or something? I'm sure it was either a misunderstanding and he apologized? Luffy leaned on his hand, sighing. I made a large promise that I promised to keep, but now I have all this information and I have to put it into good use. How do you date an entire family of females with various personalities? They have different quirks, different likes, and they all are Charlotte family members. Chopper's jaw dropped. No way, how did you manage to get them to go out with you? I heard some of those Charlotte girls are terrifying? This made Sanji look up from his phone, eyes red with fury as he slapped his hands down on the table. How dare you try to date all those beautiful females? Especially when one of those girls is my own girlfriend. Luffy glared. I didn't ask pudding out. Chill out, Sanji, and think for a second. You're even texting her right now. Oh yeah. My bad. That's not the point here. Yamato regained balance as they made a face. The fact that you are doing this on the pretense of a false note sent to them is ridiculous. You should be finding the culprit behind this whole fiasco. Frankie looked up from his work, smirking. I think someone's super jealous about this whole thing. That comment made them blush slightly. Were they actually feeling this way because Luffy was going to be taking those girls out? They never acted this way around guys before. Maybe she felt a little something for Ace one time, but now that they were siblings, those feelings were dashed. Luffy was a cool guy and very nice to everyone, but that didn't mean they liked him. Did it? I'm not jealous, just worried for his well-being. When Linlin finds out that he's doing this, she's going to fly into a rampage unlike any other. That bastard once told me about how one time she went into a rage mode so powerful that she wrecked most of the naval forces in a coastal city. Her hunger pangs may be bad, but her anger is something else. HMPH, I wouldn't be so worried. Luffy has a track record of turning the worst people into his allies. I still can't believe that he managed to befriend Law or Kid. Zoro snatched up another burger from the bag. When it comes to the ladies, he seems to treat them properly too. I've been living with Perdona for a while and she practically praised his performance from Halloween. Hasn't shut up about it too. Had to admit, Luffy has a stupid personality, Sanji started to say. Hey, I was about to compliment you. You never let me finish. The point is, Luffy knows what to do and say in the moment. I know he'll treat them to a night, day, or sunset around the town. Luffy smiled. He really, truly felt that his closest friends believed in him that much. It was these moments he missed whenever he roamed the halls of the all-girls school. Girls had their cliques, their besties, and followers that hung around their every word. Some days he felt like there were no one who could really relate to him. Without the male balance he was used to, all his words had to be carefully thought out, his comments were judged, and the females would always make sure he couldn't form those lifelong bonds. This was why, outside of school, he felt more alive and free from societal convention. His life has lately been revolving around girls. It made him miss his old school much more. Yamato placed a hand on his shoulder. Luffy, if you ever need any help from us, your rec friends, your other crew, or any other ally, just know that we are one call away. You don't have to suffer alone. Luffy smiled, placing his hand on top of them. This small gesture of kindness made Yamato's heart skip a beat. Could they really help Luffy in this time of need, at the risk of revealing their identity to that bastard's crew? Someone's looking at Luffy with different eyes now. Usopp teased, making a face. Those girls better beware. If they break his heart, then Yamato will break their spines. Sanji joined in, snickering at the picture Pudding sent him. Geez. Take that kind of stuff outside, you too. Zoro put in his 2 cents. Frankie just laughed while Chopper slurped on his milkshake happily. The moments like this were worth remembering since when the homework was done and the night was young. This made life worth living. Tonight was a big night for the Charlotte sisters. Excitement was in the air throughout the house as the residents were moving around and doing something strange. Hey, do you think I should wear this outfit for my date or this one? Which one of you stole my pearls? I can't find my pink pumps, I want to wear my pink pumps. Is that my lipstick? You stole it, I did no such thing. Katakuri frowned behind his scarf as he read the newspaper at the dinner table. There's no rest for us men tonight. The girls are getting ready for their dates with this Luffy guy and we can't even use the upstairs bathrooms. I can't believe that punk asked out all of our sisters like that. I can see the ones around his age, but the older and younger ones? He's repulsive, Cracker declared, munching on some biscuits. At least Pudding is unaffected, but her boyfriend is a chef, I approve. Pudding blushed as she started stirring her batter so fast that it was splattering against the floor. The dogs, Zeus, Hera, and Prometheus, ran over and started licking the vanilla batter from the cabinet doors. I'm just surprised that they would all go crazy to get the chance to go out. Most of them acted like they could care less if a guy asked them out. Oven pointed out. Besides, what makes this guy so special anyways? Well, Pudding started to say as she pouted slightly, from what my boyfriend has spoken to me over text, he seems like a loyal, dependable guy. A bit dense, but kind. I've seen him around the school tons of times and he eats more than Katakuri on donut day. Brule cackled at that, making the older brother turn red under his scarf. If anything he sounds like he would fit in right with this family. Oh, to be young and go out in this day and age. Although, if you were all worried so much, why not just spy on the dates? It would be easier to do that than mope around the house all day. Daifuku looked up from his book and gave her a look. Have you seen most of us? We don't exactly scream subtle at all. It was just a suggestion, you don't need to criticize me for it. Parasparrow licked his lollipop in deep thought. No wait. That could work. We can phone a family friend to do the spying for us. In fact, since the first date is tomorrow, We can call her up tonight and inform her of what's going on." There were a collective group of grunts, verbal agreements, and nods. This would make them feel better for doing this. Nobody would be the wiser and they could keep their family safe. The only problem with this plan is the distraction for Linlin. If she knew that her sworn enemy was taking out her sisters, she would throw a tantrum that could blow up the house, again. They would have to find some way to get her out of the house for the duration of the dating season, which was easier said than done. She was nosier than most people and could practically scare them to their souls if she wanted to. For a teenager, she was quite deadly. "If we are all worried about the same thing," Pudding started to say, taking out a fresh batch of biscuits. "Maybe we should send Linlin on a trip or something to get her out of town." "Who would want her? Everyone knows about her massive appetite and she's banned from most taverns, resorts, and spas because of it." Oven sighed. "Face it, there's no one alive that would want to take her in." A snap was heard as Mont d'Or gave a grin. "We can send her to Grandpa Strusen. He's always sending us letters to invite us to his resort and bakery. If we tell him that Linlin needs a vacation, he would jump for joy to hear that his favorite grandchild would want to visit." "I almost forgot about Grandpa. I can give him a call right away." Roulet got up from the table to give the older gentleman a call. "In the meantime, I'll inform Linlin that we got her a break from her mundane activities and sending her to a baker's paradise." Compote informed the table as she entered the kitchen. "I would also refrain all men from going down the girls' hallway for the time being." Apparently Flamp stole Poire's hairbrush and the fight broke the mirror and toilet. Pudding rubbed her temples, mentally telling herself that this would all be over soon, when hinges creak in doorless chambers. And strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls. Whenever candlelights flicker where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. It was that time again for the residents of the town. The Halloween season was upon them. As the leaves turned their different colors, people were excited to spend time preparing for the holidays. Halloween was one such where everyone wanted to participate. Pumpkins were gutted and left outside with various facial expressions. Children and adults alike were in the stores to get their last pieces for their costumes. Candy bags were flying off the shelves to give out to hungry guests. All around town, everyone was getting ready to celebrate Halloween in style. Everyone, except for Lilith Vegapunk. You see, dear readers, across town laid a section that was known for being the science hub. That part of town held the most brilliant minds, amazing scientists, and other doctors that helped people. It was futuristic, new age, and quite the spectacle for anyone visiting. The heart of this part of town was the academia for those future scientists known as the Egghead Institute, founded by one Dr. Vegapunk. This school was dedicated to mathematics and science, pumping out dozens upon dozens of bright scholars. There were many tracks to take from medical science to cybersecurity. It was said that if you went to this school, you were guaranteed a full ride scholarship to any university. This was the school where Law attended and where Marco the Phoenix graduated from. Since he was funding the school, Vegapunk required that his children pass with flying colors and bring honor to the family name. In fact, from their birth inside test tubes, he had planned out their lives. From school activities, clubs, and even who they were allowed to hang out with, none of Vegapunk's kids had a life of their own. It was fine for them since it allowed for no distractions for their future endeavors. That means no Halloween festivities whatsoever. Come on, Lilith. It's Halloween and everyone is going to be at the biggest party of the century. You have to come. I see no reason to attend such a frivolous party. Halloween was a holiday dedicated to satanic rituals and capitalism. All it does is make you gain weight from all that disgusting candy and promote the wearing of slutty outfits for females. Count me out, thank you very much. Walking down the hallways of the Egghead Institute, two girls were chatting after a long day of classes. One had wild blonde hair that stuck out in all directions while an aviator helmet rested on top. She had big brown boots on with her uniform along with a pair of goggles around her neck. Gloves also covered her hands to prevent her from touching any surface she deemed disgusting. Her face was down inside a book while avoiding any obstacle in her way. The other had dark cocoa skin with white spots in certain areas like her hands and left cheek. Her hair was tied in two puffy dark brown ponytails held together with two purple ribbons. Her hazel eyes glinted with mischief and her braces sparkled in the sun. She wore a cute pair of sneakers that were doodled on and had a purple coat tied around her waist. In her arms were a ton of books from all her classes and her backpack spilled her school supplies. "Lilith, you take the fun out of everything," the dark-skinned girl complained, shaking her head. "Would it kill you to have fun for one time in your life?" Lilith paused, turning her eye upwards. "No can do, Mela. I have a career to focus on, a life that's pre-planned for me, and a college to attend. One silly party will not deter me from my set path. Halloween is cool. You should come to the big party at the community center. You can relax, eat some goodies, and maybe have time for some romance." Lilith rolled her eyes at Mela's prodding. She sure didn't want to spend Halloween with a bunch of adolescent females and males. A party was just another breeding ground for germs, sex, and other unfavorable acts that they would regret the next day. Lilith only did what she felt would benefit her in the future, like stealing books from the library or blackmailing those who weren't good enough to stay at the school. Then again, there was one thing she hoped for in life. Despite her father telling her it would be a waste of time, she wanted to have a boyfriend to call her own. Someone like in those romance novels that Mela had lent her one summer. A strong, kind individual whose intelligence didn't trump hers and who wanted to spend time with her. Surely there was no boy or man alive that had the brainpower to have a conversation with her. It was a preposterous feeling, and Halloween would just make things worse. In any case, if she were to go to this party, she would want to go with the guy of her dreams. Highly illogical, but she could dream. Mela patted her arm, snapping her out of her thoughts. They had left school and were walking downtown to the community center. How foolish, she let herself be dragged by her crazy acquaintance. "Mela, how could you lead me astray like that? Why are we even in this awful place? We've got to find you a sweetie to score for the Halloween party. Someone who, no matter what outfit you wear, will make you the star of the show. I heard from Law that he hangs around guys that will make your mouth drool." This is ridiculous. There's no one I am compatible with, and there will never be a man that will make me swoon like some hussy. Mela rolled her eyes and pushed her into the gymnasium. The scent of sweat and body odor hit Lilith's nose as she pressed her fingers to her nostrils. Before she could snap at her friend, her eyes gazed over the array of hot, SXY guys that were pumping iron. All of a sudden she felt her whole brain short-circuit at the sight of gorgeous men. Her father never allowed her or Atlas to ever interact with the male species, telling them that boys were only a distraction. If anything, the only men she had met outside her family were the police captains and the strange robotic mechanic who worked with her father. Now, as she was surrounded by men her age, she knew why her father forbade boys. Mela squeaked in shock as Lilith passed out in her arms. Reiju Vinsmoke had a big problem with her hands. The Halloween party of the century was nearing and almost everyone she knew was going to be there. Sure, last Halloween was a fun little play at her school where everyone saw her perform, but this party was different. This was the year when all the schools let the young teens go to the community center to have one big bash. Costumes were already planned, dates were arranged, and the day after would have all the details down to tell those who missed it. The only problem was that she had no date. Given that her dad was one of the biggest assholes in the city, no guy dared to date her. Not only her dad, but her brothers were no help whatsoever. Except for Sanji, her brothers chased away anybody who wanted to take her out. The only place where she could be away from their influence was school. The pink-haired girl was so out of it that she wasn't paying attention to her chemistry work. Reiju-san? Is our beaker supposed to bubble that hard? Her lab partner was the infamous Monkey D. Luffy, whose eyes were bulging at the sight of the beaker boiling over. Everyone noticed this and screamed for her to stop the fire. Reiju snapped out of her thoughts and acted quickly. Putting on her gloves, she grabbed the beaker and tossed it out the window. A large explosion rocked the building, causing the chemistry cabinet to crack. Luffy gave the girl a puzzled expression before wiping up the spill. "I'm so sorry, Luffy. My mind was wandering somewhere else." Reiju blushed, bowing. "My mind was on the Halloween party." "Oh yeah. I heard everyone was going to be there," Luffy grinned. "I'm going by later to help with the decorations and setup. What's got your mind in a tizzy though?" Reiju turned away. "Furs. I need a date." Luffy stopped what he was doing and gave her a look. "Who said?" I heard that all these girls were asking guys from other schools to take them to the Halloween party. Does that mean you need a date or do you want a date? Yes, no, I don't know what I want, to be honest, I'm trying to figure that out myself. Luffy hummed in thought. Sure, he was all in for going and eating at the party. Maybe he'll see his guy friends along with some of his new girlfriends. However, seeing Reiju fret like this caused him to feel bad for her. From what Sanji informed him, his big sister never went on a date before due to his terrible family. Even he had trouble dating Pudding since his brothers were jealous brats and tried ruining every date they went on. Seeing such a smart and talented girl feel down made Luffy want to do something. Hey, if you like, maybe I can escort you to the party? That way, if anybody asks, you can say you went with me, Luffy suggested, pointing to himself. Reiju blinked, not expecting that sort of response. Are you serious right now? You want to take me to the party? Luffy rubbed the back of his neck. Yeah, I mean, you're a cool girl and don't want to see you so upset. Last year you had so much fun around this time. I want to see you smile again. Fresh tears sprouted on her face as Reiju leaned down and hugged him tightly. No boy had ever said something so sweet to her before. Day by day, she warmed up to this guy being in an all-female school. At first, she was adamant about him attending this school and tarnishing their reputation. Now, after all the slander and mockery, she was seeing a more mature side to him. No matter how hard the world pushed him down, he kept bouncing back like rubber. Thank you, Luffy. I would be honored if you were to take me to the Halloween party. When hinges creak in doorless chambers. And strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls. Whenever candlelights flicker where the air is deathly still. That is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Oh my goodness, thank you for helping my friend out. It's no problem, she just got overwhelmed, that's all. Lilith groaned to herself, feeling her eyes slowly open. She hadn't the foggiest idea what just happened, but she felt herself get angry at the possibility that a male had something to do with it. Her eyes blurred, opening to reveal the images of Mela and another guy who was rubbing the back of his neck. They were inside the nurse's office where Lilith was lying on a bed with bandages wrapped around her head. The young man was talking with her friend with the biggest grin on his face. It sickened her. Can someone please tell me why I'm in here? Where is my backpack? And why is he here? Lilith asked, glaring right at the grinning boy's face. Lily. Mela leaned over and gave her a large hug. I was so worried when you suddenly passed out like that. Everyone was crowding over your body. Some guys tried perving out on you. Then this guy, Luffy here, he and his friend managed to bring you and patch you up. His other friend goes to our school and he's a doctor. Luffy stayed here with me to wait until you woke up. Lilith batted a hand at her mouth, shutting her chatty friend. I think I got the point. Her eyes turned to Luffy, who was still making that stupid face. So what, you want a reward or something? No, just wondering if you were alright to get up and leave. Didn't want to leave your side until you woke up and the swelling went down. Are you feeling better? I'm fine now. Kindly remove yourself away from me and let me on my way. Mela pouted as her friend got up from the bed and promptly snatched her backpack from the table. How could she let the opportunity of a lifetime pass her by? This guy was super cute and he even helped her out. She had to do something or else her friend would become nothing more than an old maid. Say Luffy, are you going to be at the Halloween party tonight? Is that why you were setting things up? Luffy nodded. Since I help out here every day, I thought this would be a perfect way to meet new people. I go to an all-girls school and I practically use this place to hang out with my guy friends. Well, Lily here needs someone to go with her to the party. Perhaps you can escort her? Lilith's head whipped around so fast that she nearly gave herself some whiplash. This is what aggravated her about being friends with Mela. Always pushing her agenda upon her about love and relationships. Couldn't she just be happier alone in her studies and prospects? She didn't have time for some stupid dance or a stupid date? Luffy saw her face scrunch up to an unusual degree and sighed. I don't think your friend would like that very much. She seems to be the kind to avoid events like this. Yes. Finally, someone who understood that she didn't need human social activities. All she wanted was to be alone with her books, laptop, and eccentric family of super geniuses. Mela bit her lip and tried to keep her emotions in check. Can I be honest with you? She doesn't have many friends and tends to keep to herself a lot. I am the only one who pushes her out of her comfort zone alongside her father. I just want her to have a fun night and it doesn't need to be a date, please Luffy?" Lilith was stunned by the words of her friend. How could she say those things about her? Mela was one to push and prod, but she never did anything to cross the line with their friendship. In her heart, Lilith felt as if she had been betrayed by her friend after that heartfelt speech. Without a word to the others, she ran out of the room. She could hear Mela yelp behind her, but she ignored her. The emotionless Lilith Vegapunk had finally shown a single emotion that was making her feel uncomfortable. Despair. Mela's face dropped when she saw Lilith run out of the room. Did she make her that upset? All she wanted was for Lily to experience teen social life before she went to college. Throughout their friendship, all she heard from the brainy beauty was her aspirations for college, working in a lab, and then cutting ties to work for the government. It sounded like a boring life to her. No one should fully delve into that kind of life. She should start a relationship, a family, and a nice house in the suburbs, not slaving away to the man and never taking a vacation day. Mela was about to chase after her when a hand was placed on her shoulder. She turned to see Luffy shaking his head and giving her a soft smile. "You know, from what I just saw, you and her are very close. You both balance each other out and I find that cool, but maybe, you push your ideals on her too much?" "What do you mean? I don't push things that much. Without me, Lily wouldn't have anyone to tell her that she isn't always right. No one tells her that she needs to avoid colliding with open locker doors. Without me, she would have no lab partner since she insists that she can do things herself. I just don't want her to become so dependent on herself that she never asks for help. If you have no one to rely upon, you can become lonely and sad." "But that's not fair." Luffy tilted his hat downwards. "You can't force your ideals on someone who doesn't want to listen. That's like telling someone that their favorite cake flavor is bad since it's not a flavor you like. Then you make their feelings invalidated. That's not fair to them." "Gee, I never thought of that. You know, you're pretty smart, Luffy." "I'm no genius, but I do know how delicate a female's emotions can be." Mela fiddled with her fingers, not wanting to look at Luffy. "So what should I do then?" "I would apologize for my harsh words and hope she forgives you. As for me, I already have someone I am escorting to the dance." Patting her on the head, Luffy walked past the girl to get ready for his date. He just hoped those two would be able to fix the problem that they were having with one another. He didn't know Lilith personally, but she seemed like a girl with the weight of the world on her shoulders. He hoped that he could make it in time to pick up Reiju. Reiju was putting on the final touches to her makeup as Sanji walked in. Normally, the others who lived in the house would just kick down the door and invade her privacy. This got annoying the older she got since sometimes she would be naked or getting ready for bed. It got even more inappropriate when her mother died since she would always scold them for barging into her room. Now there was no one to protect her innocence from except for Sanji, who moved his room adjacent to hers to prevent doors from being kicked down. On the plus side, he at least knocked. "Reiju Onisan, are you ready to go to the party?" he exclaimed with a dramatic flair. Tonight, he and Pudding were to be wearing matching outfits for their couple's theme. She was a princess while he was wearing a rather elaborate night costume. "Just finished putting on the slight touches to my face. That's a cute costume you chose." This year, since she finally got to pick her costume for a change, she was dressed as a butterfly fairy. Purple wings rested on her back, she wore a nice pink dress, big gloves on her hands, and thigh-high matching boots. In her hair was a set of antennae attached to a headband. "Not as pretty as your sis," Sanji complimented, giving her a big hug. Then his face turned serious as he looked up at her. "So, who's the wise guy that's picking you up? Do I need to rough them up?" Reiju ruffled his hair. "I can handle myself. You know, who is the one that ingested all that poison to save your life after someone tried to kill you? Who also protected you from our slime ball of a father and those idiots all those years? Relax, if anything you know the guy well." Sanji raised an eyebrow, releasing his sister as he rubbed his chin. "That's so? Well, if you trust him, or to not poison him, then I trust you." The two quickly gathered their things and raced down the stairs. The longer they stayed in the house, the easier it would be for their father to keep them there. All they had to do was make sure he didn't come out of his downstairs lab long enough for them to escape. Reiju even took precautionary measures to text Luffy to meet her outside the back door. If they went out the front, The security cameras would catch them and report their leaving. Tonight was going to be tedious and the twosome didn't want to fail. Making sure the coast was clear, Reiju ushered Sanji towards the kitchen area where Ichiji was cooking with his back turned. Niji was laughing at something in the living room, probably another one of his favorite slasher movies. Yanji was sleeping in his room and was out cold. Putting a finger on her lips, the two snuck around the kitchen quietly, avoiding Ichiji's gaze long enough to reach the sliding glass door. By the time the eldest son turned around, the two were racing down the wide lawn to the secret exit in the hedges. Upon emerging from the branches and leaves, the two were greeted with the sight of Luffy wearing a werewolf costume and Pudding in a princess gown. "Oh, so that's what you meant by I would know him." Sanji grinned, giving Luffy a fist pound. "You better treat my sister to a dance or two. Wouldn't dream of making her upset. She would kill me in several different ways." Luffy replied, eliciting a laugh from the group. "I'm not joking. Oh Luffy, never change." Reiju slipped her hands into his. "Shall we?" He gave her a wide grin. "We shall."